I peaked out. I was my sickest in July of 2014. And by July of 2014, my cholesterol level was 630. So my doctor told me that I could drop dead of a stroke or heart attack at any moment because my cholesterol was so high. And I was so sick that I was literally on the verge of kidney failure. And my doctor told me that I had a 93% chance of losing my kidneys and that it could happen at any moment. So he's like, you could have sudden renal failure. And he advised me to avoid stressful situations, to, try to prevent a stroke or heart attack or kidney failure. And meanwhile, this is when the Franchise Tax Board was most aggressively harassing us. At this point in time, they had filed a wage garnishment against my husband in November of 2013 for money that was never owed, as we've established. And they kept finding the money and losing it, and finding the money and losing it. And the wage garnishment was lifted and reinstated multiple times between November 2013 and July of 2014. And finally, in July of 2014, they lifted the wage garnishment for good. Now, a lot of money was still missing, and I went through terrible hassles, but that was the most vicious of the harassment that I got from the Franchise Tax Board. And I can document, so for years I had monthly blood work done, and I can document with my lab tests that the months that the Franchise Tax Board harassed me for money that was never owed, my health eroded, and on months when they left me alone, my health improved. And it is no coincidence that things started to finally turn for the better in July of 2014. Like in August of 2014, my lab results were better than the lab results from July. Not a lot better, just a little teeny tiny bit better, but that was the beginning of my improvement. And my improvement was very, very slow. It took really until 2018 for me to get to the point where I am now, where I'm functioning, and like not super sick. And it's no coincidence that the improvement started when the very worst of the harassment ended. Every time I checked the mail, I would get nauseous and want to throw up. Like, I was always worried, oh my God, is there something in there from Franchise Tax Board? And every time there was something from Franchise Tax Board, I would cry and cry and cry and cry, because I knew that I would spend waste literally hours of time on the phone, digging up documentation, writing letters, going to a fax machine, going to the post office, and that it would all be for nothing. I would just sob, and it would take me hours to work up the emotional fortitude to open the letter and see what what hoops I had to jump through next. I can't even tell you how many thousands of tears I shed as a result of the Franchise Tax Board's harassment. I was so frustrated and so angry that I had been the victim of their mistakes, their alleged mistakes. And in my heart of hearts, I knew these weren't mistakes. I knew in my heart that this was a racketeering scheme, that these weren't mistakes. They kept telling me it was mistakes. And they kept giving me conflicting information, and the notices that they sent me weren't the same as what they would tell me on the phone. And on the phone, they would swear up and down that they were giving me correct information, but that's not what the notices said. They were so maddening and frustrating, and dealing with them was so stressful, and I just couldn't at that point in my life. I had a baby. God, I can't even tell you how difficult they made it to resolve the issues and how unfair it was, that they would torment me like that. I hadn't done anything wrong. I did everything right, exactly as they told me to. Whatever the notice said to do, I did exactly that. Whatever the rep told me to do, I did exactly that. I did everything right. I did everything the way they said. And yet they still never stopped harassing me. They harassed the hell out of me to the point where I got so sick that I almost lost my kidneys. I almost had permanent renal failure as a result of the harassment. But I did everything right. So yeah, I mean, they could come after me if I was a deadbeat that didn't respond to notices, but I did everything right, and they still harassed me. And I kept sending them more money to get them off my back, and they kept losing my money. No matter how much money I sent them, it was never enough. They always wanted more. And it was really, really stressful to have tens of thousands of dollars literally vanish into the clear blue sky and have them demand more money that I knew would just get lost if I sent it to them. It didn't matter if I sent them more money. It was never going to be applied. It was never going to be enough. The harassment was never going to stop.